Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy, and on this channel I talk about light, color, and visual storytelling. And today I have something that I think is pretty special for you. A good friend of mine, a former Pixar colleague, reached out to me and said, hey, we want to do a podcast. And he and his business partner, who have a business that's very similar to mine. I have lightingmentor.com, and I help train people, mentor people, I consult with businesses, I work on different movies and films, but I help teams grow in their understanding of light, color, cinematography, but also art direction and concept design and illustration, lots of different things. I help people be professional artists and grow as professional artists. And their business does something very similar. And they wanted to have a conversation with me around the topic of what does it take to truly become a professional artist in the year 2025. Things have changed a lot over the past 20 or 30 years, and the world is still shifting with AI and with the current state of politics and economy and with businesses and film. Things are very uncertain. So in some ways it's easier to learn the skills, but in other ways it's harder to get a job. So this is what the topic about today's conversation will be. And what was cool about this is when they reached out, they said, hey, we're not too far from you. Do you want to do the podcast instead of doing it in a Zoom call to actually do this in person? And it was a couple of hour drive for me to go out to the coast and this beautiful, beautiful mountain town out in Canada. And so I said, sure. And we got together and we shared some food and spent the afternoon together and made this podcast and this conversation. So thanks for joining me today. I hope that this is informative and inspiring and gives you new ideas for how to grow if you seek to be a professional artist.
Hi.
Hey. All right, so this is something a little bit different for a video, and I have some friends here with me, and we're kind of doing a little podcast thing together. So we'll introduce each of ourselves and kind of a little bit of our background, but we've all worked professionally, and today we really want to talk about what does it take to be a professional artist in 2025? A lot of things are changing in the industry and in the world and in technology and in art. So I figured this would be a great conversation. And we decided, instead of doing this on a Zoom call, that I would actually come up here to British Columbia, Canada, and sit in the backyard and have a fire and have some food together and do this traditional.
Like real people.
Like real humans that know each other.
So again, for the channel, I'm Jeremy. I have 28 years experience in animation industry, television and games, and illustration. And I'll just kind of go through.
Yeah, I'm Mike Cashamani, known as Cash in the industry. I've been lighting professionally for 16 years, mostly in animated features for really big studios like Pixar and DNEG and Sony and a bunch of others.
Yeah. Right. And I am Connor, and I have been an artist and entrepreneur for almost 20 years now, because I'm getting kind of old. And a lot of that has been as a 3D generalist, modeling, texturing, shading, lighting, rendering, compositing, and as well as outside of that, some fine art stuff and some music stuff. So I've been running my own businesses now for 6-7 years. And yeah, I've definitely gone through the volatility and instability that this industry has to offer. Yeah.
I guess that's one great place to start the conversation is when I graduated in 1997, which is way back, that shows how much older I am than even you.
You look great.
Basically at that time, you could learn software, and if you knew the software, because it was so rare, so hard to access, if you knew the software, you had a job.
Right.
And they were looking for skills. And I remember when I graduated, I thought that I had a great demo reel, I had a good portfolio, and I would get hired. And I applied to 75 studios, and I heard back from a total of 0 of them. So I had to do a lot of extra work to get that first job. And that was in that state of the industry.
Right.
Things are changing. What are your thoughts on these?
Yeah, I feel like it's a really different ballgame now. It's a whole different thing. You can't just know good software. And if I just learn more software, I'll get the next job, because that's not how it works. I've worked at 15 different studios, and every single one I use a different software.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if you know all the softwares. It's new every time anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think there are, and we had talked about this before recording, but there are fundamental art skills that are really applicable and still incredibly useful, even in a post-AI environment. But that is not the majority of what is constraining modern artists right now. That is not the thing that is the bigger piece of why so many artists are struggling. And I think there's external reasons for that, which we have no control over. And there are internal reasons for that, which we do, right? So focusing on those, the things that we can control, I think is absolutely paramount.
I mean, that's so important. It's amazing how much I have conversations with you and other friends in the industry. And I think there is a misconception out there that if I learn Blender and I learn Photoshop and I learn Nuke and I learn a few of these software, I can learn this now with YouTube and I can run it on my $300 laptop. I should be able to get $120,000 a year and work on big movies.
Right. Yeah.
I think that used to be true to an extent.
Yeah, it was closer.
It used to be true. But now there's a lot more limitations, a lot less jobs, and a lot more people getting in the industry. And so it makes it harder to just hire people who know software. That's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do, to your point, Jeremy, it's like, I feel like there is a certain degree of, I'm only one $300 Houdini course away from all of my dreams coming true. And even for artists that have a lot of experience in the industry, we know that's not the case. And when big things happen, like these big sweeping layoffs and everybody's kicked down on their butt, well, what worked before was I need to learn the latest and greatest tool because that will allow me to stand out. If you were the only ZBrush artist, I mean, we still know all the names of the ZBrush beta testers from like those early days. Like if you knew the latest and greatest tool, you were basically famous for it.
Yeah.
And because you were known for it, that led to a certain level of job security. And that is so far beyond the case today. And when we have artists that get laid off or artists that are trying to get into the industry, still trying to use that toolkit, and it gets them nowhere. It's time to switch tactics. It's time to do something different, right?
Well, that's kind of interesting. I know we were talking a little bit earlier too about university. And like people always ask, like, should I go to art school? I'm like, well, it's really expensive. And do studios care about art school? I know I have my opinion. I mean,
I don't think so. I've
think
worked
so.
at a lot of places, and when you're hired, you're just another artist, and it doesn't matter if you went to the best school or not. It doesn't matter what your GPA was. No one cares about any of that stuff. And I know some really amazing artists in the industry didn't go to school at all. Totally. They just kind of like are good at art, and they figured it out on their own.
So then that leads to YouTube, learning via YouTube. Sure. Where's the weakness in that versus the strength in that?
I think that's rad. If you're making great art, by any means, make great art. It doesn't matter, If you're finger painting your way to greatness, like, do it. That's fantastic. I would say that the weakness is kind of what we were talking about earlier, is that's not the constraint. That's not the issue, right? It depends on where your art skill is, right? So if you are just getting started, then learning certain art fundamentals, and these are stuff that you listed earlier, visual storytelling, right? Yeah. Composition, which is essentially the same thing, right? But even to compose something based off of the 7 elements of art, right? 7, which I don't think I'll be able to list off the top of my
Don't
head
do
right
it, it's
now.
fine.
I think I could, I might, but that's okay.
I will list them on screen right here.
Yeah, those ones,
Magically.
yeah. It's some editing work for later. But yeah, mastering those and being able to practice them is really going to be a fundamental skill that somebody who has never been in the industry or somebody that needs or is just exploring this as a hobby that they're trying to develop, that is the thing that they should be studying and mastering. And if you're a senior or you've been in the industry for a while, guess what? Those are still really great things to work on. Yeah. It doesn't go away. Like, of your art skills, I think those are far more important than, again, some course or some, if you're applying that through Houdini, fantastic. If you're applying that through Unreal Engine, even better, Yep. But those tools are a means to making beautiful art. And if we're not leading with beautiful, not just beautiful, but meaningful pieces of art, that is what moves the industry forward.
I mean, I think a lot about, people start and they're like, I want to make pretty pictures. I enjoyed drawing as a kid, so I want to draw and I want to make things that are just really beautiful. But the more I've gotten into the industry, there's a lot of people that can make beautiful things that just won't sell. So
Right.
you're not a professional artist. You're just a hobby artist. And if that's what you love, great. You can just paint landscapes, and
That's
you can,
beautiful.
Enjoy
take
your
a bowl
life,
of fruit
yeah.
and paint a bowl of fruit. That's totally cool. But I think to be a professional artist, there's something more. And I know for a lot of my students, I have my own website, Lighting Mentor, where I help people grow in these skills. I always come back to the key fundamental of storytelling. There has to be a purpose. It can't just be like, no one's going to pay for a painting of a person standing in a room expressionless. No one's going to pay for anime girl fan art. No one's going to pay. I mean, maybe there are some people that will, but you're going to have a really hard time. We're, like with us in our experience, we're in stories. We're in movies, we're in television, we're in games, we're working with stories. And so the skill that's needed is storytelling, but that's still not enough.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. That's the fundamental. That's the baseline. The car will not run without that set of wheels.
Yeah.
But the rest of the engine is still required. And, Cash and I talk about this a lot. We always kind of fudge the numbers. It isn't based off of any research that we've done, but we feel that it's about a 70-30 ratio of character, like not character as in character art, but like who you are,
Yeah.
who you are as a person. That includes who you hang out with, how you communicate, who knows you, not just who you know, but who actually knows you, and how trustworthy you are, not just to do what you said you would do, but also to be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
right? To be self-reliable.
And then there's 30%, the other side, is technically, can you do the job? Do you know the tools? That's still part of it, of course. Can you do the painting? Can you do the work? Can you light
Exactly.
the project? Whatever your actual job is, you still need to do that. But if you only focus on, I just need to make more art, better art, you're losing 70% of what actually gets you the next role, what actually gets you into the door, which is actually engaging.
So for this channel, I talk a lot about the art side of things, and I have courses and all that kind of stuff. So I would love for the rest of this conversation to really be around that 70%.
Yeah.
Like us with experience, what are our thoughts of the state of the industry right now, working on big TV shows and movies and projects right now? What are those things that are missing? Because I know that there's a lot of people on my channel that are watching and they're like, I have a good portfolio. I think it's good. I've gotten good feedback. I'm a good artist. Why can't I get hired? So let's talk about this. Oh, by the way, I want to talk about what you two are creating together, what you have created and your company. Smoke.
Smoke.
Yeah.
We thought it'd be so pretty to have a fire in front of us.
I was working for me.
Smoke is drawn to beauty.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
saying.
is that the case? Yeah, that makes sense. It does
Doesn't
make
make any
sense.
sense at all. I've never heard that before.
Anyhow, could you say a little bit more about what you're creating? Because
Yes.
it's kind of similar. So like Lighting Mentor, I teach people lighting color and I mentor people and I have classes and courses and workshops and apprenticeships. But you all are doing something that, like when we connected, Cash and I have known each other for a long time. 2010?
Yeah, I think so.
Way back then. Wow, this is really getting smoky here. It's dramatic mist. This is our smoke machine. Anyhow, we both worked at Pixar. We have similar backgrounds. So what I do and what you do really kind of overlaps. When we reconnected, you told me about this,
Thoughtful 3D.
thoughtful
Yeah.
Yeah.
3D. So tell me more about this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
Connor started Thoughtful 3D,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a mentorship group that focuses solely on not that 30%, only that 70%, because we feel like it's such a dry area that people really don't get taught this anymore unless you have a mentor, unless you have someone that's like, you're going to tell me the way things are. You work at a studio and someone's like, I'm going to teach you this. And you're like, great, I'm going to learn this new stuff. But a lot of people are full remote. A lot of people don't live in a major city that has 20 studios, And
Totally.
so we basically created this idea to support this avenue that isn't really taught, isn't really told to people.
Yeah, and I think that's well put. Like, even if you have a mentor, like, and I'm not throwing shade on any of the wonderful people that are doing mentorship work out there. I might be a little bit, but even, let me say this in a way that it's not going to, okay. So we have a client who's an amazing artist who's working with us, and he has amazing work, and he went through a mentorship that helped him become a much better artist. And that the mentor has worked at massive studios, you know, really very experienced. And that mentor said to him, I've taught you all that I can. And I thought, no, you have not.
Yeah.
You don't get to the places that you've worked. You don't have the projects underneath your belt. You don't have the art that's on your portfolio unless you know more about it. And I feel like many artists right now are actually being abandoned by people that have extreme levels of skills and experience that are just teaching them what buttons to push.
Yeah.
And it's really not enough. And the part that hurts me the most is they could be mentoring them on actually life skills, on communication skills, on, oh, we had no idea that for 2 months we were teaching everybody how to write better emails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, whoa, they're like, why can't I get a job? And I'm like, well, what email did you send them? And we looked at it and we're like, oh,
I
hey,
see why. Yeah, it's really bad.
this is giving like the bad vibes here. Like, this is not good energy to be sending in someone's inbox.
I want to minimize that because that's not exactly what we do.
Well,
but
yeah,
it is
sure,
part
yeah.
of it.
But
communication,
yeah,
relationships, dealing with anxiety, dealing with imposter syndrome is a lot of things we talk about, and just like engaging with fellow artists, because there's a lot of people who just don't have those communication skills that they need to represent their work, to talk proudly about what they've done, to explain in a thoughtful way to get a job and actually do the job well to be hired again after that.
So let's talk. There's an example, like, let's make this practical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try to tell a story, since we're storytellers. And
Sure.
Yeah, we have wasps here. Sorry.
Let's tell a story of the type of artists that we love to work with, that we watch grow in their career and become leads and become, you know, like really a successful type person, versus the people that we see that have the technical skills. So we're not talking about art right now. We're like, let's just assume that everyone has that foundation of good art. And now let's talk about the difference of like somebody who's not going to keep getting hired, somebody who can't get that first job versus the ones who do. What's the difference that you see?
Okay. Yeah. So if you've already got your art box checked, I think the biggest hurdle that artists need to overcome is their confidence. And this is a tricky one to talk about, because when you tell somebody, well, your problem is confidence, it does not instill confidence.
So
right?
true.
So it's
Just be more confident.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly.
It's really bad.
So it's like we need to diagnose that if that's the issue, that's the issue. But we also need to talk about how to improve that, right? And that there's nothing wrong with it. It's a totally normal thing that we all go through. I often feel imposter syndrome. It's
all the time.
Yeah, all the time, especially when you're in higher and higher levels of your craft. Like, it makes sense to feel that pressure of, am I performing good enough? But when it comes down to confidence, what we have kind of deduced here is that it leads back to trust. So what I think confidence is the manifestation of your own self-trust.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're putting on as like an insecurity. I need to show off. I need to be, which kind of shows up as an arrogance, which is it's just another word for insecurity. It's a behavior set that's because of insecurity, which, again, not demonizing it. It's normal. It's natural. It's healthy. Like, if you don't have any,
and everyone experiences this,
and everyone experiences it, and if you don't have any insecurities, then that's like, might be sociopathic or something. Like,
egomaniac.
Yeah, you're a maniac. Yeah, so it's definitely good to have
But I think
that self-awareness.
That's where it starts with self-awareness. And I think that's where we start with a lot of our clients is like, all right, tell us where you're starting from.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the things you need to work on? Are you aware of your level of insecurity? Because being introspective and being aware of yourself is really how you gain things like confidence and pride, and being able to talk about your work without sounding like an egomaniac or something. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And so like trying to instill this mindset of being aware of your work, being aware of yourself leads to being aware of what you're putting out to the world. And that includes resumes and cover letters and all kinds of things like that. But it all starts with like, well, what am I doing?
So I'm going to tell a story of 3 different artists, and I'm going to keep it generic so that no one can figure out who these artists are.
Yeah, you asked for stories. I can answer that question better, but you go ahead. Yeah.
So I have one artist who was really, really overconfident and would talk a lot and would, but sometimes would doubt and, would jump into conversations and kind of dominate, and I mean, I'm just going to kind of like merge a couple different people that I remember. There's people that have ego and they don't let anyone else enter the room. And then if you give them feedback, they're really defensive and they argue back and they try to stand their ground. See, the problem is they think they're confident.
Right.
But their self-esteem is really low. And so in a studio setting, no one wants to work with them because they don't play well together. They have to have control of the room and they have to prove something. Versus the next type of artist that actually succeeds pretty well is somebody who's just like, you give them a task, they do the task. Great. What I look for in someone who really succeeds though is this third artist, and I know a lot of people in the industry that are like this. They're proactive. You give them feedback, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's great. Like they'll talk it through with you and then they'll ask more questions. Like you can tell that they're being intelligent, that they're really thinking about the feedback. They're not just saying, yes, yes, yes. They're saying, ooh, that's great. And then they go back to their desk, they do the change, and then so they give you exactly what you asked for, but then they come up with more ideas and they're like, and here's 3 other options of ways that I think it could be even more creative. So now they're a peer. They're working with you to make the project better, and they don't care about their ego. They don't care. They're not putting their self-worth into the art. They are putting their worth into the team and let the project flow through that. And I love working with people like that.
They're really rare though.
They are rare. Why?
Okay. That's a good question.
I think getting to that point, as any artist, getting to the point of being both no ego and high value art is extremely hard to do. As any artist making art for someone else, like getting to the point of being like, I can make great art and it's not my own and I want it to be better. Yeah. And it's yours, you own it, but I made it.
What a challenge.
It's really difficult to get to that point.
This to me is what's missing. 2025, you want to be an artist, this is the thing that you need to refine as much as your skills.
Correct.
But how do we do that? I mean, do you have more stories?
Yes.
Always.
More stories. I think so. I'm not going to mention any names either. So we'll keep it nice. And so the mindset that doesn't work, and again, this is probably like, I don't know, not the best way to describe it, but I think that an entitlement mindset, whether or not it's true, is just unproductive. It's just not useful, right? So, that might be, well, I worked on this many projects and so I should have a job, or I went to this school and so I deserve some kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, that might be right. You might be correct, but it doesn't matter. And thinking about it and holding on to it is weighing you down. I mean, it's like it's a brick in your backpack on a steep hike, and the hike is enough. You do not need the brick. And it's so I see that a lot in that mindset. And, and some of the people that we've worked with over the years have been like, okay, why do you feel like you deserve it? Okay, cool. Right. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right. And is this belief serving you? Because in a way it does in the short term. I've been wronged. Like that's very validating. And and
how dare they?
Also
something like that.
Yeah, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
It's like not taking ownership of your life, your career. It's everyone else's fault.
And you know what? For a moment, that's like, I'm going through this really hard time, but at least it's not my fault. Right? But then eventually it's like, yeah, but you're responsible for it.
It's your life.
It's your life. Yeah. So
what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do
And
about it?
That's really important right now because there's been so many layoffs. There's been so much turmoil in the industry, games, film, everything, right? There's just studio closures and everything, right? And so getting past this mindset of like, well, how dare I get laid off? What, they lost the best person they had or whatever. You know, like that, taking that ego out of that is both difficult to do, but also very important to move forward. It's just part of recovery and being able to talk to someone again about hiring you again. If you do it too soon, you're going to crash and burn that interview, you know?
It's funny, I turned 50 and I think a lot about life. And I don't often give life advice to people, you know, big life advice that I really believe in, but this one I do. And I think it's life is a yin and yang, that there are dark sides and there is pain and there is suffering and there's no way you can get through life without it. It's just not possible. It's not part of the human experience. And I think when we apply this principle to our careers as a starting point, it should apply to everything in our life, that if you can embrace yes, there was an injustice and it could have been better and this studio could have been amazing and they should have organized themselves better. Like, you know, it's amazing how common people are. Like the moment you get that first job, you're so excited and 2 years later, you're just bitter because things didn't go according to your expectation.
Oh yeah.
And like that's most of us go through this. So like, how do we go on? Then you just go, this is part of life. Every studio is filled with humans, which means there's going to be mistakes. Like there's no perfect place. I worked at Pixar. It was amazing, but we could tell stories. There's all kinds of stuff at every single place.
We're not gonna.
We're not gonna. You know, there's injustices everywhere. The key thing here, I think, to say is deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. All of us, this is your life. What are you gonna do? How are you going to respond to this offset and just go, oh well, where do I go?
Again, this is like things you can control and things you cannot control.
Yeah.
And most of life is in the you cannot control it category, right?
Yeah.
It's like the vast majority, but there is a sliver that you are in complete control of, and how you respond to life is that sliver. Like that's the thing that you get. And yeah, I just, talking about the mindsets that aren't very productive, entitlement is a really big part of that. Yeah.
I think it's interesting too, that people's skills, we often think that your personality is everything. So you're like, I'm not an extrovert, so I can't do that. And you're like, no, wait, this is a skill. Now, who you are at home, you don't have to hang out with people. You don't have to have people skills in your evening time. You can hole up and read a book, and that's great. In fact, I encourage that.
Definitely.
That's really good. You can do whatever. You can watch shows, you can play your games. But when you're at work, if you want to be a professional artist, these are skills that you can learn to say, I'm gonna have to have some emotional intelligence, as well as, you know, actual, you know, mental academic intelligence.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
learning to engage with people the right way. That's both talking about your work, talking about your work to you and not insulting you.
Yeah.
Right? And you talking the same way to me and receiving notes and not feeling, oh, how dare he hurt my precious work, you know? And all of that, those engagements are, I think, some of the most important stuff you can learn as an artist, professional artist in our industry, is that you need to engage. You need to both be proactive in your engagement, but also being proactive in how you respond to people.
Yeah, reading the room. You know, it's interesting. We were talking a little bit earlier when we had dinner about ChatGPT and using AI to help write emails.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about this. Why do you think this is a good or a bad idea?
Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah, I got an email today asking whether this was a good or bad idea. It's quite interesting. Yeah. I think if you notice it, it's a real problem. Like, I'm sure that, look, there's ways to use ChatGPT and you can be very clever, and I guess you can, you know, develop the output that it gives you to the point where nobody would be able to notice.
Yep.
Right? And I think if it's that obfuscated, then I guess you're getting away with it, right? For now. But like, step one is if I can tell that it was sent to me by ChatGPT, I just stop talking to them. Like, I give them one shot and say, hey, that was okay, thanks for that info. Kind of seems like I'm talking to a robot. It's like I want to know the prompt that they put into ChatGPT. Like I want to actually connect to the human that's on the other side of GPT instead of, this really clean, buttoned up. And to be honest, like that, I think is very difficult for English as a second language users.
Yeah.
So that's what I get a lot. And I'm like, hey, use broken English. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. Like, speak from your heart. I don't need it to be buttered up by software.
Well, that's part. I mean, it feels like this industry is really about bringing yourself to the table to be creative.
Yes, because you're not hired, I think, you're not hired to just push buttons.
No. And AI is going to take over those jobs
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. Yeah.
So if there's a job that the buttons can do, that's going to go away.
That's gone.
That's a big part I wanted to mention is like, if you get this job with ChatGPT, you take all these, you put in all the prompts.
Great cover letter,
you make
all that.
You make the best everything, and you get there. Now you can't do the job because you don't know how to talk about your work. You don't know how to talk about you don't know how to write emails to colleagues without using ChatGPT. It's just, you're going to have a very hard time performing from a communication standpoint in your role, no matter what the role is. Even if you're painting everything and you're not ever writing emails, you still need to communicate with people. And so I think it just ends up limiting you more than it trains you to not understand engagement with people.
Right, exactly right.
The AI is training us.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting when I think of generative AI. I might not use it because I feel like it's wrong, but there's another reason not to use it, and this is because I want the skills to do these things.
Correct. Yeah.
And so, authenticity matters, and even artistic authenticity of just going, I know how to create something. Like I could sit down in front of you and paint it live in front of you, and I could have an intelligent conversation about design or about the art or the craft or the lighting and the cinematography. Like cinematography is communication. It's not about pretty, it is about story. So good, like you can place some lights in a 3D scene and say, I'm a lighting artist, and like not even close.
Yeah.
Right.
Cinematography is what it's about. Cinematography is about drawing your attention to a very particular thing. And when we are working through these shots, we have deep, deep conversations about where your eye is being drawn. And you might say, I tried this, I do that. So you're going to have to articulate. You're going to have to learn to communicate intelligently and concisely and clearly. Mm-hmm. And
be able to receive that information
right.
in a way that's not defensive or upset or worried or anything like that. And we review some work from time to time. It's not our main function at Thoughtful 3D, but every time I look at any image that someone presents to me, I say, well, what's the point of this? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to tell the audience?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's not, well, that looks pretty. Cool. Let's move on. It's let's tell a story. And are you doing that? Are you actually achieving what you're trying to do?
Yeah, and so many times, at least with some of the more public feedback sessions that we've done, I think our group we have successfully trained them at having this more adaptable mindset, this more purpose-driven mindset. But definitely in the beginning, the answer to why is this made was, well, because I wanted to impress some studio and get me a job. And it's like, right, well,
I guess.
I can see that. I can see that that's what you're trying to do. It's like, well, I made this for money, for the hope of money. And hey, nothing wrong with that. That's wonderful.
Professional.
It's professional, right? But if you do have license over your work, like this is a personal project that you're going to put in your portfolio so that you can attract an audience, whether that be HR people or recruiters or even customers or viewers of your short film on Vimeo, whatever it may be, right? If you are starting with most of the time a more personal, emotional experience, that you are creating an art as a way to express that thing inside that you don't have words for, that you might have sound for instead, or you might have a drawing for, or you might have a color for, that helps you express that thing. And then when people see it, they go, oh, I've felt that thing before too. I've got to share this with more people. That really moved me, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, so once you are able to move people with your art, you can also move them to hire you or move them to give you a job.
Exactly.
It's downstream from that purpose of art there.
Yeah, I mean, all of these topics come back down to a bigger picture of self, of self-awareness, of awareness of others even too. I mean, what other things do you think are really important?
The big two for me are trust and confidence.
Talk more about that.
Okay. So what's interesting is that I have been lately, since this last year has been so crazy economically, I have been doing a lot of research on the economy, and I've been looking a lot into how money works and all this stuff, and it seems unrelated. But the entire economy is built on trust and confidence.
Yep.
Like, that's what it
Yeah.
is. Trust that the dollar will be spent and exchangeable for a good and also other dollars,
Yep.
and confidence that it's not going to disappear tomorrow. Right? Confidence is like a major indicator of the stock market. Like,
Yeah.
it's the biggest part, right? And so it's like, okay, why does that apply to what we're doing here? Well, because all of these studios and these businesses, they have jobs because they are participants in this economy, right? They are able to create work that returns a value, that returns that has a return on investment, right? So that might be a movie and subscribers to a streaming service, or that might be tickets, or that might be some. These are what define something as being professional or unprofessional, or professional or a hobby, is whether there is money involved. So when we think about it in these terms, trust and confidence apply to the individual art piece as much as it does to the global economic situation that we're in. That's our world. We are participants in it, right? So it is wonderful to be a poet and to express yourself in those ways. But as you were saying, if you want to be a professional, then you're going to need to have a certain amount of confidence to sell your work.
Yep.
Whether that be in an interview context, which, a lot of people they're really oriented towards studio life as the primary way to make a living as an artist, which it's because it's, for many people, that is the shortest path, right? But
Yeah.
it's not the only path,
Yeah.
right? At all. And even in that path, you still have to sell yourself in an interview. You still have to sell your skills and sell your character and sell your abilities, and those communication skills that we're talking about is a way of communicating that trust and that confidence.
Yeah.
So I think the other one is trust, and I think we talked about this a little bit already, but for me, confidence comes from self-trust, and self-trust comes from doing what you told yourself you would do,
Yeah.
which is, if you say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, and you don't, you lose trust in yourself a little bit. Even if it's, I'm going to go to bed early tonight, and you don't, or I'm going to finish this project, I'm going to finish this painting, I'm going to post my work online for other people to see, I'm going to make myself vulnerable because I know it's good for me, but then you don't, then the confidence doesn't grow.
Yep.
And of course it's difficult to show up well in an interview. Of course it's difficult to show up online and create genuine relationships and connections with people that really find you dependable and reliable, because you're not doing that for yourself. So I think that's where it starts.
I think that one of the ways to get around this, or to learn this skill too, is to work with groups. Like, I have an apprenticeship program because I see that a lot of artists come and I mentor them individually, but they can only grow so far with me and them by ourselves. Like, I can give them advice, and if they don't take it, it just kind of ends. Like, I think often mentorship is, like, I heard it once, is like, it's like a Frisbee game. I throw the Frisbee to you. If you don't throw it back, the game's over.
It's over,
It's this constant back and forth. But if you want to make it engaging, you're going to want 4 or 5 people out there. You're going to want a small group that are around you. So that way, as your confidence, they're going to be like, you can do this. You can get back to the gym. You can do that art piece. Like, you're going to fumble because you're human. But being able to have that supportive team and learning to, like I keep talking about play. Play is basically failing safely. Where you can try something, like,
oh, that's fun.
think
That's
of
really nice.
like lion cubs when they play, but they're learning how to attack and kill an animal. But they look so cute, and they're just like biting and playing, but they're learning safely. They don't have some wildebeest, in front of them as their first test. And I think as people, being able to have a group where we can play and we can learn and we can build that confidence together is probably the quickest way to learn.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
We strongly agree with group
Yeah.
settings. It's always the best way because it's how you gain trust in yourself with others around. It's how you gain, like, you can do it all by yourself, but then it's just the same as sitting alone at home. You know, like, you need to be able to engage with other people, and that's a really important part. We at Thoughtful 3D, we always have group mentorships.
Yep.
It's just the way
Group
it works.
calls. Group
Always.
calls exclusively.
Yeah.
Actually, so we have like one call where it's just one-on-one for us to figure out the whole plan, right? But then from there, you're going into the group,
Yep.
right?
And that's on purpose. It's
Yeah.
not to scare you. It's to actually get you to open up.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, and take it from low stakes to high stakes, because
Right.
the jump is what I think artists and in general find really difficult. People in general find really difficult. I have a friend of mine. His name's Xander. He's a fantastic cello player and entrepreneur, and that's one of the things that I hear him talk to his clients a lot about is, look, we're going to start talking about this stuff in a vulnerable way, just you and me.
Yeah.
Just us. And I'm going to hear you and I'm going to listen and I'm going to validate your feelings. I'm going to help you figure out what you need to do next. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to help you figure out what you need to do next. You're going to make that decision, right? And then from there, you're going to do the same thing again in a group. This is a vetted group. There's not going to be any jerks or anybody that's going to be mean to you. There's not going to be any disrespect there. And you're going to do that in a smaller group. And then from there, we're going to go into a larger group until you're able to be publicly, social media or on a stage or anything. We're going to work your way up so that way you build those confidence in steps, because it is a lot for someone to go from, hey, look, I've been an artist for a really long time, and I look at their LinkedIn and it says, they posted once 3 years ago saying I'm available for work, right? And it's like, okay, so now put yourself out there.
Do
And
something.
it's like that's a big leap.
is a big leap.
That's a big leap for a lot of people to take. And so if you are in that position where it feels like that leap is too far to make right now, then finding that small group of people, and it might start with, your mom who believes in you no matter what, but we will need to transition into people that don't have to believe in you, but do anyways, right?
Yep.
And help you develop that self-belief.
Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap this up then, because there's viewers all over the world in all kinds of different circumstances. What's something that you think is really practical that could be done now to build the complete skill set, to collect all of the magic tokens to be able to be a professional artist in 2025?
Wow.
Oof, that's a big question.
That's a big question.
So I think we already established that you're going to have a foundation of artistic skills based off of foundational good storytelling.
Yep, no doubt.
Then on top of that, some of these things about confidence and trust. Like
Confidence
what
and
are-
trust, yeah.
So
I want to mention one thing. I think the really important thing is reflection. And it's something I do all the time. And it's not just interpersonal or in my own self, but also like finishing work. All right, what did I learn during this work? How can I apply it to my next work, right? It's not just how did I engage with this person? How can I learn from that and grow? It's like a tool to teach yourself to grow faster, better.
That's right.
Right? And it's something that I mean, studios do it. They call it a postmortem. That's
Yeah.
the same thing. They
Yeah.
just talk about their work
retrospective,
and
yeah.
it's the same thing. And so if you want to do a postmortem on yourself right now, you can do that because we're all at the end of something,
Yeah.
right? And then you
That's
apply
right.
it to the next thing. That's the way I'd go. That's what the first thing I'd do.
that's great.
I love that. Yeah. And I think, just to piggyback on that a little bit, you can look at the past 10 conversations you've had, right? I mean, especially if they're digital. They're all there,
Yeah.
right? Like, look at them. Imagine receiving them, right? And don't put yourself into it too much, but read that as if someone wrote it to you. What does it feel like? Is this somebody that you trust? Why not? Or if yes, then great. Continue to do more of that, right? There is a certain aspect to this that it is reps. The
Yeah.
more consistent and longer you're able to persevere especially under these conditions, the more likely you are to succeed. There's no doubt about that, right? But Before reflection, I think we are artists and we're in a very eclectic time. And that is often not a bad thing for artists. We, more than ever, need people to be able to experience, interpret, and express the craziness that is happening, right?
Yes.
So if you're feeling very, very deeply, even if it's entitled, make art about that.
Yeah.
Prove it. Like, put it into painting, put it into poetry, put a piece of you into it.
Yeah.
I think Rick Rubin said in his book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I don't know if you've read that. It's so nice. But he said, look, an artist is responsible for 3 things and 3 things alone. Start projects. We all love to do that. That's easy.
I like finishing projects.
Finish projects. That's number 2. Finish projects. Like a lot of artists, and I'm sure the
Or
people
at least
that are
call
watching,
it done.
Yeah,
Calling it
finish
done
it.
is the same
Call
thing
it
as
done. Finish it. That is one of your responsibilities. It's a core responsibility of an artist. And if you're not doing that, then you're just practicing. And the third one is to share them.
Yes.
It has to be shared. And it's okay if at first you're just sharing with your partner or your parents or whatever in a safe environment. But you should be working on sharing that in a higher and higher stakes environment, because then you will start receiving the benefits and the consequences of doing that. And the benefits outweigh the consequences every time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And again, this is I often think, what do we do with, ego and with uncertainty? And for me, the way to kind of solve all of that is being endlessly curious.
Oh, beautiful.
Like, if my goal is not to do things right, but to learn from what I do, it makes it so much more enjoyable and so much less stakes that I can try something really bold. I'm going to make a short film and I'm going to try some brand new thing. I'm going to try a new type of illustration. And because I just want to learn from it and I'm curious about new things, then if I screw it up, it doesn't matter. Actually, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
even better sometimes.
And sometimes you discover that's your best work.
Totally.
And then it builds the confidence. So all these things kind of are all intertied together, and then doing that with other people. So the last bit would be find
a
people.
group.
Yeah, find a group to do it with.
Yeah, and it doesn't
Painting
have to
group.
be Thoughtful 3D. It doesn't have to be the lighting mentor, but it should be a group of people that help you see your value when you lose sight of it.
People that you can trust.
That's right. People you can trust. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yeah, that want the best for you, and that when you win, they love it as much as you do.
Yeah,
because that's
threatened
a
by it.
rare thing.
It's so rare.
So yeah, finding a group that believes in you when you struggle to believe in yourself is
Key.
really a game changer. It makes a huge difference for people.
And who knows, this group of people might end up making the studio of the future.
Correct.
You know,
Could be.
you might be
Yeah.
like, hey, you know what? I'm keep waiting for someone to give me permission to be an artist and to make my own movies and my stories. And then you gather your group of people and then you create some stories, and pretty soon you're the filmmaker of the future. And this is where we should be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
Totally agree.
perfectly put.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. This has been super fun.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
bringing me to your house and your
Of
backyard
course,
too. This
yeah.
has been super fun.
I'm so glad that you wanted to. It's so cool.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, the cool thing was, and I just have to show off a couple of these things. Came on this trip, came with my son who's behind the camera right now, and we went out and we filmed a bunch of stuff around here too, because Ireland is stunningly beautiful. So being able to be in this setting and to be able to have meals with you all and to have good conversations, again, it's back down to that human element.
Yeah.
And that is what I think is worth really doing
Yeah.
together.
We found a group here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, we got a little group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. So if you want any more information about Thoughtful 3D, where do you go?
Thoughtful3D.com.
Yep.
If you want more about Lighting Mentor, lightingmentor.com as well. And again, we're trying to help people grow in their careers and as human beings and to succeed as professional artists.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a rising tide raises all boats. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Wonderful.
All
Thank
right,
you,
well, thank you.
Jeremy. Thank you so much. Yeah.
That's great. Flip the table.
Yeah.